listening mechanisms, you're going into a new perception level. Because if you're always talking, right, you're always talking and you're not interacting, then you only see one side of the expression. When you start to basically express yourself, there is no resistance. Everybody else starts expressing themselves. Naturally, it just flows. So they start just expressing who they are directly through, as I can see through the chat room. That's what's happening now. Because there is no resistance. We're both, all of us, are actually interlinking on higher levels. So we expand in a much higher way than we normally would. Because we're connecting on a much more profound level on the DNA level, where many perceptions take place on the DNA level. You start going into the DNA level, you can see the many different dimensions. You can see the many realms of existences. It's all there. And you can program that DNA, and you can code it to bring you even more further in connection with who you are. It's interesting. The further we go into it, and the deeper it gets. Dev Ireland, coming on the show, whenever that moment arises, in that perfect expression, we'll again discuss the masculine and the feminine. But even beyond that, because that's just a starting point. Everybody's familiar with masculine energy and feminine energy. It's a good starting point. It opens up the consciousness to new principles, new ways to perceive information. Each word carries frequency. If you are connected to that, you can see that the word leads into a new creation, a new expression, so it opens up a deeper level of understanding, and understanding information. Instead of a belief system is just the opposite of that. If I say I'm a guru, I have a belief system already put in place. Because a guru is in a state of the hypothalamus state. It's in a state of having to have other people's energy in order to survive. It's a natural state of the ego. It just evolves into the next state. You feel that you cannot survive without other people's energy. Well, if you're in that state, you always feel like correcting people and doing all these things. It's another way that you're actually vampiring energy on an unconscious level. If you were fully conscious, you would not do that. Because you would see now that you're creating chaos instead of bringing in this level of harmonization, this Stargate expansion, this gamma expansion. So for you to reach gamma, you have to basically use other people's energy to do it. And by doing that, again, it creates an imbalance throughout this spectrum of experience, but it creates an imbalance all the way up, through all that spectrum, that multi-spectrum, because you are a mirror reflecting all the time. You're always reflecting and going further into your realization stages. Reflection is basically having an out loud conversation with yourself. When you say something, or when you think of something you said throughout the day, or whatever the case may be, when you slow things down, you begin to reflect. If you're in front of a mirror and you're jumping up, bouncing around, and you're just going crazy, your consciousness is not focused on the actual image that's in the mirror. It's distorted. So the moment you slow things down, and then, the breathing and all these different things, when you slow it down, you begin to see your reflection for the very first time. It's like source energy looking in the mirror and be like, oh wow, that's what I am. I am that I am. It sees itself again. So by seeing itself, then now creates a conscious journey, and it has a map, it has a divine blueprint to follow, because now it remembers it. It remembers it. It remembers the time before it decided to split itself. It remembers exactly what it is and where it's going in that next moment. It's looking at every part of creation that is in this deharmonization state, and it's sending harmonization to it, to raise it back into frequency, to bring it back into that gamma state, so it can express again in its natural state of expression, but showing another sentient being, another ascended being coming directly into their power, standing right next to that source energy, within that source energy. All of us are source energy, but we all carry a different, unique expression of source energy because of the journey we chose to take. In the process of choosing, it wasn't a conscious choice. The moment that source energy forgot, it went unconscious. It was an unconscious choice. And that's what created the division. But now we're here in this moment and connected to the planetary alignment and all the different things that are going on to show you that source energy on the level of Earth, Gaia, that female and that male energy of Earth, is seeing its own reflection. That's why there's more volcanic activity. That's why there's the fault lines and stuff that are happening and all these different things that are happening. Yes, there's some manipulation going on there too with frequency. But you can see the celebration of the actual existing, the living, it's alive. It's no longer just sitting there. It's not stagnant. It's evolving into this higher being. We can also experience this. And we are experiencing this in this moment right now. But once again, our Earth also carries the mirror of the false state. So it has these portals on it, these black hole portals that activate the false state Earth, the false state being of Earth, the source energy expression in the false state, in the negative and positive emotional charge. And then on the other side, you have these other chakra points on the planet that are the spectrum of neutralization that are being created. And that's getting into the actual ascension centers and connecting to the ascension centers. And we'll get more into that when we bring Dr. Cody on in that moment and start getting into ascension technology. That's really, really intense stuff. It's on a very high level of expression and the interlinking process of the technology itself. So saying that, getting into that is really cool. We have about 4 minutes left. Anybody has any questions or wants to share anything they can in this infinite moment to express what it is